I think the general public have a pretty good idea of what sort of activities you must do to look a certain way. Well, it might not be 100% certain, but people generally have a pretty good idea of what you have to do in order to look a certain way. And for example, if you take a random person on the street and you ask them this question, hey, what do you have to do in order to get big legs? Most people, they would say, well, you got to train your legs. You either have to use your legs a lot or you have to train your legs directly. And you must be doing the activities that involve a lot of your legs. You got to use your legs in order to, have well-developed legs. And these things include running, jumping, sprinting. And for the weightlifting enthusiasts out there, they will say stuff like, well, you got to squat. You got to train your legs directly, either by putting a barbell on your back or loading up a machine with a lot of weight and pushing with your legs. And over time, your legs will grow. People generally have a pretty good, understanding of how to grow muscle. You got to do a lot of a certain type of activities, and your physique will reflect that. So, when you ask people the question, who do you think has the biggest bench press? What sort of activities they must be doing to get a good, strong bench press? For those of you who are familiar with strength training, you would say that the sort of athletes to have the strongest bench press would be the powerlifters, because it's one of the 3 competition lifts. Powerlifters need to train the bench press because it's one of the lifts that they are getting tested on. And they must train in a way so that on the day, they're able to express their, peak maximum strength on the platform. So they train bench press in such a way to express this strength. So they will obviously have the strongest bench press. But like I said before, people generally have a pretty good idea of, if someone looks a certain way, if they have big legs, you will know that these people, they use their legs very effectively. If they have a well-developed body part, chances are they're very good at the movements which involve that sort of muscle group. So the bench pressers, who are good at bench pressing? Overweight people, fat people, people with, a lot of mass, they tend to push the most weights. And where do we see that? Rugby players, American football players, stocky, fat people, they push a lot of weights. I remember when I was in gym class back in high school, there's this really fat kid. He doesn't really do any sports. But the first time he went into the gym, he was able to outlift everyone. I can't remember the exact number, but back then I was not into fitness. But I just knew that he lifted way more than anyone else in that class. And I look at the guy and I thought to myself, man, this guy doesn't even exercise. How the hell does he get so freaking strong? So body mass does play a huge role in your bench press. But I look at the American football players and I look at their training. These people, they are not bodybuilders. They don't have to bench press. They're not powerlifters. They don't have to bench press. But how come they get so freaking strong at the bench press? You go on YouTube and you search up, NFL bench press challenge or whatever, and you see all of these high school, college age kids. Maybe it's their first, second time in the gym, and they're already pushing, 2 plates, 3 plates for reps. What the hell are these kids doing? And I don't want to hear anything about steroids. I don't want to hear anything about it. I think a lot of these kids, sure, genetics do play a role, but when you look at a person and you see their build, you sort of have a good idea of what they're going to be good at. And all of these guys, like they are stocky, they are beefy. Some of them carry a bit more fat on their torso. But you also look at their training, and they do a lot of plyometric, explosive, pushing, punching movements, because that is really that is what needed in their sports. You got to push people, you got to block people from coming your way. So it makes sense that they need to train explosive pushing movements. So I've been going down this rabbit hole of looking at all the sports and figuring out how I can get my bench press, my pushing movements up, because to be honest, that's all I really care about, to have a good bench press. And people say, well, if you want to get better at something, you got to train that one thing. And I do agree with it. But I do think there's some merits in looking at all the disciplines as well, and learning what, athletes from all the sports, what do they do to, develop a develop musculature and, athleticism in their own sports. And bench pressing, you look at calisthenics athletes, they're really good at bench press, even though they don't even do bench pressing. And you look at rugby players, you look at NFL players, they're really good at bench press, and they don't even train bench pressing that much. So what are these people doing besides from eating a lot, gaining a lot of weight? Their training also reflects that. They do a lot of plyometric, explosive pushing. There's this machine in my gym. It's called the ground-based jammer machine, and it sort of mimic the punching, the twisting motion that is involved in contact sports like football. And you can load weight on this thing. I've never seen anyone using this machine, but I'm willing to try it out. I'll see if it's gonna help with my pressing movements. I did 3 sets of 5 today on that machine. And I don't know if it's because of the machine that I was able to get a personal record on my overhead press. I like to think that I'm heading in the right path by incorporating, like jerking, explosive punching movements. Maybe that will help with my pressing strength. Maybe. I don't know. But it seems like, the college football athletes, they're really good at bench pressing because they do a lot of this, twisting, punching motions. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot and I'll let you know. Anyways, that's it for today. Hope you guys are doing well. Stay strong. God bless. And I appreciate everybody watching this. Until next time, I'll speak to you later.